Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of that FPL show. It is game week 17 now. If it goes ahead, that is because of COVID restrictions, whatnot. Looks like United have got a COVID outbreak at the club. I'm joined by Rod. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. COVID free over here.
Uh,
Not Premier League, but we go again.
yeah, we are COVID free for now, Rod. Hopefully. A bit of a weird weekend, Rod.
It was not the classic Barclays Premier League.
It's not the Barclays Premier League anymore now, is it?
Oh, exactly. The Premier League was a different one this week, and VAR had a lot to say, and there were a lot of weird decisions, which I'm sure we're going to get into.
Oh, yeah. So, I think in sport generally this week there's some weird decisions, especially in the F1. Some real weird shit going on. Anyway, we're talking about football, Rod. First of all, I'm just looking at the best team you could have got on fantasy, and there's some weird ones in there, Rod. We got Tompkins this week, Jorginho, 2 penalties, man. Oh, what a weekend. Anyway, how did you do, Rod?
I'd say I did well, but I didn't do amazing. I did manage to get a green arrow, albeit a small green arrow, but I finished on 76 points. Obviously, that's just 21 above the average, and it was enough for a green arrow of my ranking, so it must have been all right. And Buemo and Dennis starting it off for me, 18 points combined on that Friday. That put me in good stead, and then I thought James against Leeds, maybe an assist, maybe a clean sheet. Instead, he got a 0-pointer. So since I brought him in, he has got me a combined total of 1 point in 4 game weeks.
Yeah.
But really coming up clutch with the 2 assists. But overall, it was happy. 76 points, and I'll take that moving into the next one.
Yeah,
Yourself?
definitely. Yeah, personally, I just want to talk on your team first of all. Dennis, right? When Mbeumo scored at the end of the game, I was like, fucking, come on, let's go, right? Because I knew I had Mbeumo, and I was pretty sure you had him as well. And then I checked your team, and you had Dennis. I was absolutely heartbroken. I was like, oh, this jammy motherfucker. Like, because you slated Dennis quite a bit. You're like, oh, he's not that good, he's not really worth it in previous weeks, and I've been looking at him. And then you decided to pick him up, and I was just so gutted.
I brought him in 1 game week ago, but I benched him last week, and he obviously just got the 2 points last week. And I thought, all right, this week against a Brentford side, if Watford do score, it's going to be King or Dennis. And I bought Dennis at the time because he was cheaper than King, and he comes up with the goods and scores 1 and secures all 3 bonus.
Yeah.
And then I was at work for the Brentford game, so I didn't quite catch it all. But I saw right there there was a penalty, and I realised that Tony wasn't there. Neither was Kanyos. So I was like, who the fuck's going to take it? And Buemo ended up sitting back and down on it to the right. So I was very pleased.
Yeah, and also I think looking at your team now, obviously you showed a bit of faith in your Villa boys. I know you benched Douglas Luiz, but to not put in Jota probably ended up being the right move, mate.
That was once again, I was in a Twitter space on Friday, and they were discussing because obviously Klopp came out and said that Jota hadn't trained, and I was like, what do I do? And someone said, you're better off just playing someone who's going to play 90 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is going to go one or two ways because of how high Jota's ownership is. If I play him and he does just get me a 1-pointer, then I'm not really going to lose out. Whereas if I play him Buemo and he scores, I'm going to fly out the rankings. And I put my balls on the line and played in Buemo, and it paid off.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, I'll go on to my team. Well, I played a free hit this week, Rod, and I was speaking to you. I don't know if it's the right choice making it or not. Obviously, I did have a pretty decent game week. Ended up on 90 points. Well, I'll start off with my team first of all. So first of all, with the free hit, I was like, right, I want 2 goalkeepers, and I went with De Gea because I thought we'd get a clean sheet against Norwich. Obviously, didn't come as comfortably as I thought it would be, but we got it in the end. I picked up Schmeichel just in case De Gea didn't play because I was confident that Leicester would get a clean sheet against Newcastle as well. With my backline, I literally just kept it the same as Trent. I brought in Diaz, sorry, but other than that, it was Trent, James, Cancelo, and Diaz. Obviously, James getting the 0 pointer was really disappointing, but I was pretty happy with Diaz and Cancelo. Obviously, now we're going to have to look to move out Cancelo for this upcoming game week because of he's suspended. Which isn't really ideal. In the midfield, kind of similar to you, rather Bernardo Silva and Mbuemo and Salah. But different to you, I didn't captain Salah this game week, which also ended up being the right decision. But I did bring in Maddison, and he would have been the right captain, but I didn't go with him either. Obviously, getting the assist and the assist for winning the penalty, as well as scoring a really nice goal towards the end of the game, Rod. So 16 points for Maddison was mad. I went with Broha just because I thought maybe Southampton could test Arsenal, but it turns out Arsenal actually got a win, so they're the best team in the world again now, Rod. And Ronaldo, 18 points captain, won the penalty, scored the penalty. Obviously, I was like, do they give him the assist for the penalty, the assist and the goal? I was wondering, but they didn't. So 18 points happy. On my bench, I had Fred, Hwang, and Livramento, who didn't really do much. So all in all, Rod, I think 90 points was really strong for me. The only person in our league who had more was our mate Lewis, who triple captain Ronaldo, which was a brave move. Didn't quite pay off for him, but so I was second highest in that group. I was pretty happy with it. Green arrow, I am now up to 774,000. Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, 77,000. 77. Fuck, I can't even do it. Right. 775,706. Bloody hell, man. That was hard work, man. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, Rod. Big improvement from me.
I am, just to put my overall rank, I am up to 34k in the world.
That's fine, Rod. I'll be there soon. I'll be in the top 100, son. But yeah, just all in all, a bit of a dead game week in total, Rod. I mean, I guess we can have a look at some of the scores now, go through some of the games. I actually want to start off, Rod, with the Man City Wolves game, and I really want to talk about the state of refereeing at the moment because it's a bit of a fucking mess. They got VAR. I don't think the people on VAR know what they're doing, and this game was so controversial from the start. Anyway, I think we should just pick up with the Jimenez red card. It's silly on Jimenez, to be honest, isn't it? I didn't think the first foul was really worthy of a yellow, but to stand like 3 feet in front of the guy taking a free kick and trying to intercept it is just fucking crazy.
It was, okay, you've been booked, now just don't do anything ridiculous to get yourself sent off. And he's been given one warning because he's too close to the ball. So, okay, right, maybe you'll learn and then you'll walk away. But no, they take it and he's within like 2 yards. So it was a silly booking, but it had to be given because he just wasn't listening to the referee. But it was an absolutely ludicrous decision by Jimenez to even do anything like that.
Yeah, and I felt for Wolves, man, because he's going off the pitch and he's clapping to the away support, and they were cheering him on a bit, but he's really let his team down and the manager. I saw Bruno Lage was kind of like, he was complaining a bit about the first yellow card, which is, I think, agreeable. I don't really think it's a yellow card, but it's on Jimenez. He's made a really stupid decision. The game went on then, Rod, and there was 2 handball shouts in the game for City. First was Kilman, which was more of a penalty, but I also didn't think this one was a penalty when he had his arm by his side. He kind of leans into the ball, but hits his upper arm. I think I don't know what's going on with handballs now. It's like, if it's hitting your upper arm towards your shoulder, I don't think it's a penalty. And then the one which is just, I don't understand how they came to the decision of giving it a handball. The one on Moutinho, it's reckless by him by having his hand up in the air to start with. I think on Match of the Day they said, the referees just guessed it, and I think that's probably right. But it clearly hits him on the armpit, and even if it does strike his arm afterwards, it's so high up the arm, it's never a handball. I just can't see how they came to that decision, Rod.
I completely agree with you. For me, it's hit even inside his armpit. How they've given it a penalty, I'm not a clue. But from a fantasy point of view, I did have Bernardo, so that did work in my favour. But football-wise, not a chance.
Yeah, and also I did see on Match of the Day where they said there was no clear evidence of the ball not striking the arm, to say they couldn't find an angle good enough to show that it doesn't actually hit the arm. So how, if you don't have an angle which shows it doesn't hit the arm, it's clear and obviously not hit the fucking arm. So I don't know what's going on with VAR. Ridiculous. It was a hard game for Wolves. It was hard when they had 11 men, to be honest, Rod. I thought that they just really struggled to find the out ball from the off go. They were looking for long balls towards Traore. It wasn't really working. Same with Jimenez. They did have a good effort towards the end of the game. A bit of a, not really a counter attack, but Aït-Nouri got the ball out wide, crossed it into Kielman, and a good save from Edison. But City did what City do, really. Made it boring as fuck. Controlled possession. Once they got their chance, they took it. Grealish missed a howler, to be fair to him, but other than that, it was a City game, Rod.
It was just a vintage City win. Boring game from a neutral. If you missed it, then that's completely okay because you didn't miss anything.
You missed fuck all. It was absolutely terrible. The XG, City had 2.75 and Wolves had 0.21. Obviously didn't really look like getting back into it. Chelsea Leeds, Rod, I think this was another game that the officials could look at. Man, this game was crazy. 3 pens in total, Rod. It started off with the Rudiger one on... Alonso, wasn't it? On Dan James. Clear pen. Tuck it away nicely. Rafinha. Did you have Rafinha this week, Rod?
I actually shipped him I shipped him for this game week for Bernardo, so I missed out on those points. But luckily, not too punished because Bernardo did return as well.
Yeah, and for me, Chelsea got back into the game through a penalty again. I know they didn't. They got through with Mason Mount first of all, didn't you? And he gave it big to the Leeds supporters. I kind of enjoyed that shithousery.
I did quite. I was shushing them.
Yeah, but Rudiger then got a penalty off of, I can't remember if it was Rafinha. Yeah, I think Rafinha, the first one. I thought he got most of the ball. I didn't really think it was that much of a penalty. If you're going to give it, that's fine. It was probably a 50-50 one in general, Rod. Or did you say outside?
I thought I can see why they gave it. I think it was the right decision. I don't know why he even made that tackle, to be completely honest with you. But I can see why they gave it.
Yeah, then we saw Joe Galhart, the first teenager to score for Leeds or something like that against Charlton, top flight, or Chelsea. I think it was in the top flight since James Milner. I think that was the stat. Anyway, nice goal from him. Some good work from Leeds. I just think Rudiger went a bit fucking missing. He was running all around the place. It was a bit weird. But then Chelsea got a penalty in the end of the game. And I actually think this one isn't a penalty. He touches Rudiger. He doesn't kick him to the point where he's really fouled him or anything like that. I don't think because your foot touches someone, it should just be a penalty. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on that one, Rod.
I thought this one was. I thought it was a penalty. I thought he's kicked his foot and he's got none of the ball.
He kicked his calf, and it was soft. He didn't even kick him. His foot grazed his leg. I just thought it was soft. Like, if that was going against you, I think you'd be really disappointed. It was stupid from Click, but still really disappointing.
I think Rudiger in that game, he was everywhere. He was up in their box. He was defending. He obviously got the 2 assists for the penalties. So he was everywhere. And I think Match of Day analysed it quite well, where he was just running. He was going on adventures.
He's here, he's every fucking where, Rudiger. Anyway, I just thought in summary, Leeds would be really disappointed in this one to go to Stamford Bridge and score 2 goals. You think you're going to be coming away with something, and they ended up coming away with nothing, Rod. Takes us on, Rob, to the Aston Villa game away against Anfield. What did you think of your boys, Rod?
I thought it always just highlights what Mings is good at and what he's just poor at. He was having such a good game. I thought the whole team, defending wise, the shape was brilliant. Obviously, we didn't really have many attacks as Liverpool are quite a difficult team to play against. But Mings, he had an absolute blinder, and then he just makes one silly mistake, and it ends up costing us the game. And I feel like I say it so often, like he's a very good defender, and he's good at the basics, but he's also just he's got mistakes in him, and more mistakes than I would have wanted. And at the same time, it's very clever from Salah because he puts his foot simply in front of Mings, and any contact he's going to go down, and it is a penalty because of the way his body was shaped, where he was going, and he stepped across Mings, waiting for contact, and he got it.
Yeah, and he left no doubt of that penalty. No chance for Emi Martinez.
It was a brilliant penalty, and Martinez even guessed the right way, but it was so in the corner that I don't think anyone's saving it.
Yeah, and then not really much happened for Villa in this game. No shots on target. Had an XG of 0.18, but should they have had a pen, Rod?
I've seen this a couple times, and when I watched it, when I was streaming it, I thought, yes, it's a penalty. But then I've looked at it back, and I think he does just get the ball before the man. But if it would have been given, I wouldn't have been surprised. But I do feel like if it was the other way around, if Martinez did that to, say, Salah, I think it's given. I think that's the difference.
I actually think it is a pen, even after seeing it. What I thought I saw was Alisson makes contact with the ball, but then he takes out Ings when the ball's fallen to Ings in a great position, and he stopped Ings from getting contact on that ball. So I actually did think there was a penalty. But it's here, it's one of those, I guess. Another one where either way, you're probably not too disappointed. What I thought of this game, Roz, I was actually really impressed with Villa. Going away to Anfield is never easy for any side, and you did get dominated, but it was quite positive for Villa, I thought, because they showed how willing they are to fight under Steven Gerrard, and since he's come in, he's really proven to the fans and everyone else in the league that Villa are a side who are capable of beating the teams around them and below them, but when they come up against the big boys, they're not going to roll over like an Arsenal and get pounded.
That's a big positive, where a lot of teams or who play Liverpool or go to Anfield, they get pumped 3-4 goals, and Liverpool have a good habit of that this year, scoring 3 or 4 goals in each game. So for us to literally narrowly lose due to a penalty, I think I would definitely take positives from that, and hopefully next game we can win, basically.
Yeah, man, I hope you can win. It is against Burnley. We'll be talking about that one later on, Rod. Takes us on to the last game of the big boys. It was United going up against Norwich, Rod. I thought it was a shit show, Rod, to be honest. I thought it, I think first of all, you do have to give credit to Dean Smith. Since he's come in, they seem to be playing a more direct brand of football, different to Farke. I do like Farke as a manager, and I don't think it's really... I think it's a shame on him because his style doesn't fit a team who's trying to avoid relegation. But since Dean Smith come in, he seemed to have picked up some sort of, an energy boost in the side, and they look a lot more threatening. United were shit, though. I think against Palace, United showed a lot of improvement, especially for 30 minutes where the press was very evident. In this game, if you said, right, we're not going to show the coaches at all in the game, it's just going to be the game, who's in charge of the team? I would have said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because it was fucking shit. The team lacked intensity, both offensively and defensively. It was poor, and it brings into another penalty shout, Rod, the Ronaldo one. I think this one is one of those where it probably... I don't know. I honestly don't know. I wrote down after the game, I put, he's gone up against Aarons. He does have a grab of him, but on the other hand, Aarons is half his fucking size, and he's gone down like he's been shot.
It's a questionable penalty for me. I feel like if it's the other way around, if Norwich are in that position, I don't think it's given. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Rod. I think there is a bit more of, towards the bigger teams, they do tend to get those calls more than, the smaller teams.
That does bring us on to where I feel like obviously on the penalty topic, where Delo has basically used his hands to block a shot and it's not given. For me, I think that was more of a penalty.
Oh God, I can't even remember that one, Rod. Sorry.
He's I can't.
I
It's
watched,
outside. Someone shot it, and Delo has literally used his part of his arm and to block the shot. And
oh,
his arms, obviously, when you go to block, you're meant to put them behind your back. I mean, that's the rule nowadays, isn't it? But
well,
they're a bit raised, and I think for me that was more of a penalty.
God, I honestly, like, I watched the game live, I watched match of den, cannot even remember that one. But anyway, after the game, Rod, Maguire actually said, it's great to have the hair in this form. And I was like, what the fuck are you going on about? Obviously, the hair was man of the match, but you're such a donkey. Like, if you're doing your job, the hair doesn't even have to make half the saves he had to do in that game. I think, United fans, including myself, were very optimistic after the Crystal Palace game, Rod, but they kind of brought it down to earth a bit more, and Ragnick has got a really big job on his hands. Just some of the XG from that game, Rod. Norwich had 1.08, United 2.04. Obviously, United had the penalty. Ronaldo missed a bit of a sitter where Rashford's pass is really poor, putting it behind him, and he chipped it over the goal somehow.
I feel like it was a poor game from Ronaldo, and I don't think he'll be the first one to say that himself. Where, like you said, I think Ranić has got a big job on his hands.
I do disagree with that a bit, Rod. I felt like Ronaldo, you can say maybe had a poor game because he missed that chance and that, but for me, Ronaldo didn't really have much of a chance because the team was not moving the ball quick enough. They weren't getting up to it. Like, you can even look at United, there weren't that many chances created, and I think that's going to be the difference where Ranić, if he can get his style to get working, and get players to not only press quicker and win the ball in the opposition's half, and I think when the team's passing the ball quicker and moving it quicker and directly, we look like a different beast, and it definitely wasn't highlighted in this game, Rod. I guess we should talk just slightly about some of the other games, Rod. Brentford against Watford kicked off the weekend, and we talked about it a little bit on when we was looking at our teams, Rod, but I just thought this was it was typical Brentford, man. I think they've it was a great comeback for them. I think they've been a great addition to the Prem this season. Certainly, better than having a side like West Brom in the Prem when they're just a yo-yo club and they're not going to offer too much.
I agree, but Brentford, breath of fresh air, new team that I don't think have been in the top flight for years. And to be completely fair, they've played obviously 16 games and they're on 20 points, which is literally 10th. I think for a fresh season in the Prem, it's an impressive start from them. And we've got to remember they have been without Ivan Toney for the last two games, and then obviously Kanyos in the last game. So two big players missing, but they managed to, in the last two games, get 4 points. So they're doing quite well, and hopefully from a Villa point of view, we can beat them later on in the season.
I think everything wants to beat them, Rob, but I just think, as a team, when it's on like Match of the Day, you're like, oh, I actually don't mind watching this. So, whereas when you got West Brom, it's kind of like, oh. But anyway, I just thought in that game, Embuemo showed his quality. I thought he's pretty decent in that game, Rod, and for his price, he's definitely worth having a look at in the in FPL. I thought it was a silly challenge from Truce to Kong to give away the penalty. I don't know why he's sliding in like that so late.
It was all late on in the game. Level with Brentford, don't do anything stupid, and you go away with the point. And he makes a silly tackle, 94th minute, and Mbeumo tucks away the penalty. But silly from Truce to Kong.
Yeah, and Dennis was showing why he is Watford top goal scorer. He's shown some great form recently. He's really cheap on FPL, but they have got some tricky fixtures coming up. Even I think they've got Burnley next, which I would say is probably a tricky fixture for them because of the way Burnley play. Anyway, I guess next game, Rod, I want to talk about is a game which really hit me in the feels this week because I had Madders in there. It was oh shit, I've clicked on the wrong game. Leicester against Newcastle. This was just dominant from Leicester, Rod.
They just went mental against Newcastle, and it leaves me even more concerned for Newcastle because I don't think they're going to get to January and be in a position where they can invest, because I feel like it might be too late. And Eddie Howe's not renowned for his defending ability or defensive coaching, but Leicester, it just shows how pivotal Tielemans is to that team. Obviously, he came back and I think he got 2 goals.
Yes, Tielemans got 2 goals. He got the 1 goal and the penalty. Patson Daka with the other, who's finally looking to come into some form, and there's talks about him coming in, and I think he was at Salzburg before, and he was meant to be like a real deal, and he's certainly showing it now for Leicester. And Maddison was the player who really impressed me in this game. He had the fantastic finish towards the end of the goal. He won the towards the end of the game. Sorry, he won the penalty, and he also assisted. I think it was the Tielemans goal. In all, though, I thought that Leicester looked a bit more comfortable and confident, which is probably much needed after they dropped out of the Europa League in the way they did. They have got a difficult run coming over, Rod. They've got Spurs, Everton, Liverpool and City in the next 4. And, I think the Spurs and Everton games, I think they can win those ones. But the Liverpool City games, I think it's going to be really tough. For Newcastle, though, Rod, I don't know what they're going to do, man. They just need to try and stick it out, up until January. Their next 4 are Liverpool, City, United and Everton, which is tough for them. And, they got to try and stick it out now. And if they can get to January, they need to see who they can attract and bring in. But I just can't see them, getting any results. And I think it's going to be hard for them to attract a team, players maybe, to come in now and fight in this relegation battle they're in.
And I feel like the players who they are going to attract are going to be mercenaries. They're going to be there.
Might go.
You what, sorry?
Aubameyang might want to go there.
That's what I mean. I don't feel like they're going to attract players that they can grow with, and we might be talking too early because they might get to January and be basically down.
Well, I don't think they'll be down, but it's depending on who they can bring in, Rod. And
it is hotting up down there, mind. Burnley on 11, Newcastle 10, Norwich 10, Watford 13. So it is. It's getting quite warm down there for these teams.
Yeah, I think Norwich could get out of it. I think Watford could be dragged in, but I think Norwich now under Dean Smith could definitely state their case to get out of there. Next game I want to talk about was the other game on Sunday, Rod. It was Crystal Palace against Everton. This game highlighted what is happening now. Highlighted one of the best loan signings in recent memory for me. He's a great price on FPL, and he's showing some really good form for Crystal Palace this season, Rod. Gallagher, his second goal on my days, what a screamer.
It was an absolute banger. I managed to catch it on, I think I caught it on Match of the Day. Absolute peach, right between the stanchion. But Gallagher, it's a weird one for me, Gallagher, because I've transferred him out, and since then he has brought a couple of hauls, and it's difficult to know in the game where he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
Whenever MacArthur tends to play, then Gallagher is further up, but they've been missing MacArthur the last couple of games. So Gallagher's had to play a bit deeper, but regardless, he's with a brace yesterday, nicking all 3 bonus. He is showing what sort of a player he is, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea decide to keep him next summer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. I think he could definitely offer him something. Obviously, he's got the eye for goal, and he's shown that for Crystal Palace. On the other hand, Rob, we do have to talk about Everton. Rafa's got to go now, isn't he?
I don't think so.
Really? Oh.
Agent Rafa, some are saying, but they've got to just bear with him. I don't see any manager that can come in. I feel like it's really slim pickings, and we're just under halfway through a season, so it's a big job for anyone who does come in. And I think Everton in that position where they probably won't go down, but Rafa's brought in some of his own players. He's already sort of implemented what he can of tactics, philosophy-wise, and I feel like it could be a dangerous move if they were to get someone else in this far into a season. Like, they are They are only on 18 points, which is a point behind Villa, so they're not doing awfully. It's just when they lose, they do lose by quite a bit, and they just don't look like a good team.
Yes, I agree. And the thing is with Rafa, this is why I think he's got to go. First of all, they've got no loyalty to him. He's obviously a former Liverpool gaffer. So, he was never really wanted by the fans. And second of all, this is the reason I think he's got to go. Rafa was known as a manager who's always had a good structured team defensively, always quite solid. They had a good start to the season, Rob, but they're leaking goals now.
They are, and it's not great one bit for Everton, and they just look like quite a poor side. And I know they're missing Calvert-Lewin, and they are missing some big players, but they just don't look great. And when you're throwing Rondon on, times aren't great, and Rafa just seems to have this dying bond with Rondon and Townsend, where he takes him wherever he goes.
Yeah, I guess moving on now to Palace, I just wanted to say, I think maybe it seems a bit overboard when I'm praising Palace, but for me, I just compare them to the team they were under Hodgson, and I think it's night and day. I think Vieira's come in, and I think there was a lot of doubt over him. Obviously, he didn't do too well in his last job in France. Obviously, he did well with New York City FC, but I just felt like there was something going to happen. He's young enough. I think he holds a lot of respect from people. One of the greatest Premier League midfielders of all time, and I just think they've done some really, they've made some really good signings, especially Gallagher on loan. And the way they're playing, it's very entertaining, Rod. I think Palace have been one of the must-watch teams for me this season when they're on, and even they've been in some pretty good 3 p.m. ones, which I've somehow got hold of, and when they're on Sky or BT, I usually watch them, Rod, because they're a very entertaining team.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Vieira has transformed them into a completely different team, and they are a joy to watch, and they've got creativity. They can defend. Not lately, they've been a bit poor defensively, but we have seen at the start of the year how they can defend. And yeah, they are an interesting team, and they're miles above what they were for the last few years.
Yeah, next game, Arsenal-Southampton, Arsenal 3-0. I really don't want to talk too much on this, Rob, because I just didn't think there's too much to say about it. Arsenal win. And they'll be, the world's greatest team again until they get bumped by someone else. And, I think Southampton went there, they tried to implement their style, but it just really didn't work. Arsenal able to play through them pretty easily. I haven't really got too much to say about it. I don't know if you do.
Southampton have been poor defensively, and they're missing McCarthy, they're missing Force. I said they had to sign Caballero on a free. And you can see why he's a free agent. At the age of 40, he was poor, and I'd say it was just a vintage Arsenal against lower team performance where they just dominated and destroyed, really. But as soon as they come up against any tough opposition, we see the opposite. So, yeah, it was just a classic performance, really, from Arsenal.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Burnley against West Ham, Rod. The XG in this game, which I think was pretty telling, was Burnley 0.72 and West Ham 1.07. I just think West Ham are really going to be disappointed with this one. It's definitely a game where it's 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained. I think they controlled the game pretty well. I know Burnley had the one good chance where they fizzed it across the box, but no one was in there, so it wasn't even really a chance. It was just a good ball. I think West Ham played well, but they couldn't really find that real clear chance where it's guaranteed going to be a goal. I don't know, Rod. I feel like this game was defined by the officials, where Dawson, I think, had the most clear penalty of the weekend, and we've been talking about some of these penalties, Rod, and they were questionable, I think, anyway. And he's had the most clear one. They've had a look at it on VAR, and they haven't even called the referee over to have a look at it. I know he's looking for it, Rod, but it's just crazy, man, the inconsistency in this fucking league.
It makes you question the officials, because it was a blatant penalty, and when you see penalties like that not given after the penalties we have seen this year, I don't understand. I don't think any. Obviously, we don't really know other leagues that well, but I don't think any league in the world has this much inept officials where the inconsistency is just ridiculous. And if it's not your day, it's likely because the officials have just been poor. And if they were a bit better, then half the results that have happened this year wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I completely agree.
When we get good officials, will that ever happen? Probably in about 100 years. But while we have this breed of officials, I doubt it.
Yeah, you see the thumbnail I made earlier on when it goes, Martino's right, the refs are shite, and they fucking are. This league is actually appalling. It's the most, I'd say, most watched league in the world. I think the players in the league are probably the highest paid players on average. The most wealthy teams on average, but the quality of refereeing is, I think it's got to be one of the worst. And I do think some of these European refs are shit as well. But I think we have probably got, like, on an average, the level for our league is way below what like a Serie A or something like that would be.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish it would change, but for me, a lot of the time, I don't know what they're trying to do. Where if we as supporters, fans can see something, it's blatant. I don't get why they can't see it, and they've even got the luxury of VAR now, and they still can't get it right. So
And
it just really makes me question what goes through their minds.
The people on VAR are more shit because the referee can get it wrong, right? Which is fair enough. And in the past, it used to be a big deal. Referee would get it wrong, and what he said went, and could maybe go to the linesman, and maybe they could both get it wrong. But now they've got a guy who's got multiple replays on different angles, and he's going, yeah, your decision's fine, and it's clear as day with the fucking Dawson one. I just don't understand, Rod. It's something that I think is probably never going to get fixed, like you said, and until something's sorted out where they're held accountable, because at the moment they're getting paid the same whether they make it right or wrong. I just don't see it changing, Rod.
This is why I'd really love for referees to have to talk at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, on match of the day at the end, Gary Lineker's talking to him. So why didn't you give the Dawson penalty? Oh fuck it, I'd love that.
I'd love to hear why they made a decision, and because if the players and managers have to, surely the referee should have to, because he's probably one of the most important players on the pitch.
Yeah, I do remember seeing a video. Mike Dean playing golf with Tubes from Soccer AM, and he actually asked him that question: why should the refs have to do it? And he goes, well, no, because obviously if it's a normal game, the ref's just going to go, what are you going to say? Oh, well done to the referee. Well, they never fucking have a good game, Rod, so I'd like to see how that plans out. I also think they should have to do a post-match presser with the press. Sit down like the managers do. I think that would be fucking brilliant. Get absolutely rinsed to shit by the press.
They need to be held accountable for for what happens, because it ultimately decides the fate of a football game.
Yeah, it does, Rod. I guess we should just talk about some. I mean, looking towards the fixtures this weekend, there is some doubts. Well, not this weekend. Sorry, this midweek. We're gonna have to record again on Friday, as well as tomorrow. But Tuesday's games, obviously, United game is in doubt. I would say it's probably 75% more likely that it doesn't happen than the 25% that is played. So it's a bit of a weird one this week. But is there any moves you're actually looking to make for this midweek, or are you just gonna save the free transfer?
If we get confirmation maybe later today or tomorrow morning that your game is called off, then it's very likely that your game on the week against Brighton will be called off. So I can't have a 12 million player in my team that's not going to play. So it's likely that I will do him and Ronaldo and Mbeumo out for Watkins and either a City midfielder or Son. More than likely Son, because I can't trust any City midfielders apart from Bernardo due to not knowing who's going to score. And if they do score, it's going to be 1 or 2-0. So more than likely it will be Son and Watkins. But that's dependent on if we hear any news. And it's likely that the Man United game tomorrow is going to be called off. So, yeah, we'll be taking a hit. Hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I'm just looking to bring in Silva on a full transfer this week. Like you said, with Ronaldo in doubt, it is probably more likely that the two United, like if this game's not going to happen tomorrow, it's likely the game on Saturday's not going to happen as well. In which case, I'll probably use my free transfer, get rid of Ronaldo, maybe take a hit to bring in Bernardo Silva, and then on the weekend maybe make a change for a different goalkeeper because I have Rob Sanchez. But yeah, like you said, it's kind of a weird one this week, and depending on how what happens in the COVID world we're in, we could be looking at a stop to the Premier League for maybe a week or two.
I hope not. And obviously, it is in the best interest that everyone is kept safe and COVID is out of the game. But I don't think a short pause is really going to make a difference. What I can see him doing is maybe minimising crowd or something along those lines. But yeah, it's FPL, especially during this time of year, is more luck than skill. And if you're lucky enough to have players who play and haven't got COVID, meaning you have to make minimal changes, and that's purely luck. And
yeah,
if players have COVID, then once again, it's just unlucky. So it's going to be interesting to see what does unfold over the next couple of days.
Yeah, anyway, these midweek fixtures are brought to you by Budweiser. Brentford against United, won't cover that because we are pretty certain it's going to be off. Norwich against Villa, though, Rod. This is the battle of the old manager.
Turner, Dean Smith, and this is a game where we have got 2 COVID cases ourselves in the playing squad. Not known who it is yet, but I imagine they are quite key players, so I'm not really too sure who. But I do know Watkins and Buendia and Tuanzebe did train today, so it's none of them. But I'm going to go for I think we do still have enough skill to go past Norwich. I'd hope so. I'm going to go for a 2-1.
Yeah, I think that's a good result, Rod. I was going to go with 2-1. I could see Norwich scoring, but for me, I think what you get with Villa is more than what you get with United, and that's just consistency. And Villa are going to probably press in this game, as they'll be the big favourites against Norwich. And I think Steven Gerrard's team can get it done. Next game, Rod, Manchester City against Leeds.
This is. I think last year, Leeds put up quite a good fight, and I think they might have got at least a draw or a win in one of their games. But for me, City are very good, and at the same time, they are very boring. And it's going to be interesting to see how Leeds do play, because they're not going to do what Wolves did and just sit back. And like we know with Bielsa teams, they just tend to go at teams. But I do feel like City should win this, and I believe City at home. Let me have a quick look. City are at home.
Yeah, they are at home. Yeah.
I'm going to go for 2-1.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 City. I think they're going to bore us all to death, and that's why I'm going to watch Villa against Norwich instead. It's all on BT Sport this week, which is ideal for most people, rather than having to find illegal ways of watching the games. Brighton against Wolves. Rod, I think this game's really interesting. I think Brighton have kind of slowed down a bit. They picked up quite a few draws, and I think Wolves, a team which are so defensively solid, I think it's actually worth having a look at maybe a couple Wolves defenders. I know you used to like Marcel back in the day, but now I think you've got to be looking at someone like a Kilman.
Kilman, I had him last year at 4 million he was. And that was when he wasn't even playing regularly. So I had him kind of as a bench player who would sometimes play. But I don't know. I don't think I'll be touching any Wolves players for a little bit. They have difficult fixtures. So I'm probably okay on that front.
But in terms of the game, how do you see it going? I think Brighton have got the attack to maybe break the Wolves' defence, but I don't know if they got the people in the team to maybe tuck away them chances. I think Wolves, on the other hand, could hurt them. Obviously, they're missing Jimenez. I've already got Hwang, who I'm probably going to start in this week because he's going to be probably the main man. So I'm going to go with a Wolves 2-1 victory, Rod.
It's Brighton have got a few COVID cases themselves, along with some injuries. Obviously, Wolves missing Jimenez, along with a couple more players. I'm going to go probably 1-1. There is a rumour that Maupay is one of the Brighton COVID cases. So if so, I'm really not too sure they're going to play up front.
Okay, I wish they released who's got it so we knew. It would be ideal for FPL. Burnley against Watford, Rod. I think this is going to be a boring game. I think this one's got 0-0 written all over it. And if not, maybe 1-0 Watford with a Dennis goal. But I think 0-0's a good prediction for this one.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I think if a team is to win, it will be Watford, as they do tend to go for the jugular and they want to score goals. And we've seen what Burnley do: sit back, soak up the pressure. Cornet is a doubt, but if he does play, Burnley do have a higher chance of scoring. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Yeah, and the next game is Crystal Palace against Southampton. I think this one's got a bit more to it. I think Southampton are more likely to score in this game. And Palace definitely are. I think Southampton have been poor defensively this year. I can see Southampton scoring for a set piece. I know Crystal Palace do struggle with those. I'm going to go 2-2
This is a difficult one because Southampton are injury ridden, but yeah, Palace, they're coming off the back of a win against Everton. I do back them, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 Palace win.
Okay, fair enough. Arsenal West Ham. I think this is a game to watch, and I can see Arsenal getting pumped again, man.
You say that, I'm not sure. West Ham, like we said, against Burnley, they are going to see it as 2 points drop, so they are going to try and seek vengeance. But Arsenal, they're such a weird team.
They're shit.
This is the sort of game I can see them winning. And touching on Arsenal, Aubameyang, who is their club captain, was dropped last game due to a disciplinary issue, and that was because he missed training and flew to France to get a tattoo done instead. So
I mean, I think that's the right choice. I also would have gone to get a tattoo rather than go to an Arsenal training session, Rod.
So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win though.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go West Ham. I want to say 4-1, but I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I think your best pal Jared Bowen might grab a couple goals here, Rod. Leicester against Spurs, though. I think this is. What do you say?
I think Jared Bowen, he could. Yeah, I've been in his DMs, wishing him good luck for the game. So we'll see.
Okay. Leicester against Spurs, Rod. I think this is probably the most intriguing game out of all of them this midweek. Maybe the Arsenal West Ham's up there as well. But I think Leicester against Spurs is evenly matched. It'd be interesting to see, if this game does go ahead and, how Spurs react. Obviously, they didn't have a game this past weekend due to COVID, and they also missed their Europa Conference League game as well. I actually want to go with Leicester in this one, Rod. I'm going to go 1-0 Leicester.
I think, Spurs have had, 1.5 weeks off, maybe? So they have had a long break, obviously not really being able to train. And it's going to be interesting to see. I did read that 2 of the positive COVID cases returned a negative test today. So they did train, and it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. I think we'll know more in the conferences in the coming days, but obviously the deadline would have passed by then. But I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, fair enough. Chelsea Everton. I think this has got. I think Everton have got to perform in this one, or else Rafa is likely to lose his job. I know you said who are they going to get, but I remember Duncan Ferguson back in the day. Was it last year? No, the year before that, where he came in as an interim, and I thought he did quite well for them. I think they're not going to do it, and I think Rafa is going to go. I think Chelsea are just. Like I've said before, I haven't been that impressed with Chelsea, but I'm impressed with the fact that they are doing it when they aren't playing to what I think is their full capability. So I'm going to go with Chelsea 3-0 here, Rod.
And just touching on Chelsea again, I think they're quite a boring side as well. And their main threat is not conceding goals. And if they don't concede goals, then you can't lose. But Everton,
Michael Owen.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that.
Right, I saw this absolute cracker of a quote earlier. They had to do the Champions League redraw. Michael Owen went. Michael Owen goes. Yeah. Well, obviously, most of the teams are either going to have a better or worse draw unless they get the same draw they did before.
Yeah, Yeah, I saw that. I was literally just thinking of that when I just spoke. But yeah, Everton, poor side. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Chelsea win. Hopefully, a Reece James clean sheet, please.
You know what? It's actually a rarity now. At the start of the season, I thought it was like bang on. You know, everyone's banging on. Oh, this Chelsea defense is so good. Jorginho is the third best player in the world. They weren't saying that, but it turns out he might be because of a Ballon d'Or. Anyway, what did you say? Score-wise?
I said 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0, 3-0 here then. Liverpool Newcastle, last game of the week, kicking off at 8 o'clock on Thursday. I think at Anfield, Newcastle might as well set up with about, one goalkeeper, 10 defenders.
This could be a game week if someone did want to triple captain Salah, because that wouldn't be something I'd be completely up against. I won't be using it. I'll be saving it for a double game week. But Newcastle, a team who concede a lot of goals versus a team who score a lot of goals, it's a recipe for disaster for Newcastle. I'm going to go for a 3-0 Liverpool.
I'm going to go for a 5-0 Liverpool. Real just like shitting all over him. But I do remember this fixture. God, I don't think it was last year. Wait, is this the first year with fans back? I can't remember. No, second, isn't it? I remember this game in lockdown on Amazon Prime, and it was Newcastle went away to Liverpool, and I think they bagged a draw. It was a really good game from Newcastle, and they're going to be wanting to, bring that energy back in this one. I just can't see it happening, Rod. I think 5-0 Liverpool.
That would be dreamy, because obviously Liverpool assets that we do have.
Yes.
But yeah, Newcastle do need to sort themselves out, but this isn't a game where they're going to be able to.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Me and Rod are going to record another video tomorrow. We're just going to be giving our reactions to the redraw of the Champions League, and we're going to be giving our predictions for I think Europa League we got to do as well, Rod, because that is I think it might be the most fire Europa League I've ever seen. Some of the teams in there are massive. So me and Rod are going to give our predictions and reactions to both draws, and we look forward to doing that. If you have enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you want us to talk about anything next time. But until tomorrow and Friday, that's been us. So we'll be talking about FPL next Friday. We'll see you then.
Au revoir.
Bye.